Google's new AI models are leaking on the internet, and I am here to tell you something that no one, I guarantee no one else, is telling you on the internet. And I've been saying this for almost 2 years. But before I do, I gotta welcome you to Ruben Tech, where we meet at the intersection of tech, politics, and finance. Please be sure to like and subscribe down below. Sorry about that little hook there. I was told I need to start doing things like that. Now, I'm not going to keep you waiting any longer. As you know, on this channel, I've been saying for almost 2 years that Google can play the AI game in both spaces, i.e. American frontier labs must play the subscription and API game because they have no other way to make money. China and Facebook can play the commoditization game because they are looking at other ways of making money on the edges from AI. They're leveraging their stacks, they're looking at industry, et cetera, et cetera. Alphabet is uniquely positioned where it can play both games. Technically, I would say Meta can too, but they can play both games. They have a very unique stack that allows them to extract value all the way along down it. But they're also fine raking in subscriptions. However, that might be all about to change. Now what I'm going to read you here on your screen, this is a rumor, this is a leak. As you know, everyone always leaks AI models, everyone starts talking about it. Google has their I.O. next week, so it's not uncommon to expect them to drop something during I.O. We pretty much know that they will. But there's a difference here. Bindu Reddy is talking about Gemini 3.2 Flash. See that keyword there? That is a big deal. You see, when DeepSeek came out with their V4, everybody was talking about V4 Pro. When Xiaomi released Mimo V2.5, I was telling you about Pro. When OpenAI came out with GPT-5.5, we're talking about 5.5, which is their Pro. And the same thing with Claude. We're always talking about what are called frontier models. They're best performing models. What can they do? What do they get on the benchmarks? Et cetera, et cetera. But all these AI companies, they have different offerings, okay? Because they're frontier models, they burn more energy, right? They burn more compute time, so they cost more, and they're slower. So usually performance and technology also means speed. But with AI, you have this trade-off. The smarter it is, the more reasoning it does, the slower it is. To give you an example, Google has their frontier model, but they also have a version where they essentially uncap the thinking. And they'll let it think up to 15 minutes. Now, this is extremely expensive if you use this through API. And you can only access it through their $200 a month subscription plan if you want to subscribe to it. But what it does is absolutely amazing if you give it the right type of prompts. If you ask it stupid problems like who won the game last night, not only is it going to sit there for 10 minutes thinking about it and you're going to be like, what the heck? But it's going to come back with a very basic answer. So this is one of these things where you got to pick the model that fits, the right solution, okay? But again, nobody ever talks first about the Flash model, and everyone is talking about it today. So that's extremely unusual. But this is why hidden in these words is the nuclear option. See if you can find it. Capitalizing on DeepMind's clever distillation techniques, rumors are that benchmarks show it's hitting 92% of GPT-5.5's performance. This is a premier model, or frontier, sorry. On coding and reasoning tasks while being 15 to 20x cheaper on inference costs. Now, to be fair, Alphabet is the cheapest on inferencing in the entire world. Even China with their cheaper electricity cannot match what Alphabet gets from their custom TPUs. Everyone else pays either some kind of tax to someone else, right? Google doesn't because they develop their own chips and their chips are better than everyone else's by a significant margin, even better than Jensen Huang's chips. Now, chip by chip they aren't, it's how they work together, right? So when you look at a pod, they're incredibly efficient. So they're already been 8x cheaper, but now this is substantial. This is 15 to 20x. This is really big. The latency improvements are insane. Sub 200 milliseconds for most queries. To understand, if you're a web developer, this is the time you're targeting to make things seem fast to your users so they don't click off, right? If you're on a website, something takes longer than 200 milliseconds, you're in trouble. Some people even target like sub 100 milliseconds, but you got to get it in under sub 200 milliseconds, especially if you're on desktop. Okay. But for a AI model, this is insanity. At this quality, 92% of a frontier model to be sub 200 millisecond for a response. I mean, this is the leak. Okay, so we don't know if this is true. Google's distillation plus sparsity techniques are paying off massively. They've essentially compressed the frontier model into a flash variant without the usual quality cliff. So have you pieced it together yet? Have you pieced the nuke together? You might say, well, yeah, this is way more performant, right? What you're talking about. You're talking about a middle tier having almost the same quality as a premium. But it's not just that. You see, remember that Google's been fine playing both sides of the game. But when you're getting this cheap here and offering this type of performance, you can up your game, right? I mean, when you're saving 8x on inferencing cost, okay, maybe I'm just saying, I don't know, but maybe you're like, you know what? We're just going to follow the market, right? Claude charges this, OpenAI charges that. We'll undercut them a little bit. Yes, the Chinese come in and they're 1/10 what Claude is, but the market, the American market doesn't adjust for that. Don't ask me why, but they don't, right? DeepSeek releases, Claude doesn't change their API pricing for that. They don't have to for whatever reason. People still keep going to Claude. And so Google's fine saying, okay, we'll beat them on price, but just by a little bit. And we'll keep our margins. But when you're 15 to 20x cheaper, couldn't you just drop the nuke and say, okay, now we are going to do what the Chinese do, and we're going to come in at 10x cheaper because we're still going to have more margin than you. Okay. Even 10x cheaper, we're still going to have more margin than you, percentage wise. And we're going to steal all your customers. And at this quality, this is a no-brainer. Okay. If this is true, I can't think of any dev that could make an argument for using anything else. To give you an example, I have a personal project I'm working on right now. I have a couple other sites. I do a couple other YouTube channels, but one of them I just play video games on. And I'm thinking of making an AI co-host, right? And so I want this AI co-host to be able to hook up to something called an emulator. Emulators play games. This emulator I'm using is made in Python. And so I'm going to play these games where the entire state of the game is known. And so the AI is going to be able to see the game. It's not going to see it visually, but it's actually going to be able to see the code and the memory, the registers, and it's going to know exactly what's going on in the game. It's going to know more about what's going on in the game by looking at the registers and the memory than I do by actually looking at the game. Okay, it's going to know way more. And I want to be able to talk to it during the game and have it introduce things. So like if I'm playing Dragon Warrior, or in Japan they call it Dragon Quest, and I get a new sword, I want it to be able to say, hey, look at the sword I got, and have it comment on it. Tell us about the sword and have it comment. And so I've started on this, and right away I was super disappointed because I was like, oh yeah, AI is slow. It's slow. And when you go to faster AIs, they're dumb. Because I want it to be smart. I want it to be funny. I want it to be witty. I don't want to fool people. I'll tell people it's an AI, but I want it to be smart. I want to be able to kind of joke with it. I want it to have some humor. And yeah, there's nothing out there. And I tried everything, and there is nothing out there at the cost, at the speed, and at the capabilities of what I want. Right? They might hit like something might hit one thing, but nothing hits all three. This would hit all three easily if it's true. a 92% of a GPT. I don't. So this is the thing. Again, you don't need the best AI all the times. Like I don't need a frontier model for this. I just need something smart enough that can have great humor, wit, understand a game, understand what I'm saying fully, kind of have a personality, right? So I don't want it dumb. I don't want it being lame and it's making the same jokes, which one was doing to me, or have limited vocabulary or kind of be saying everything when it introduces something, saying in the same sense every single time, right? I don't want that, but I don't need it to be the smartest model. I just need it to be capable enough. But I need it to be super fast too, which those two things don't usually go together. And then, of course, because we all want to save money, I want it to be cheap. So again, I don't know if Google will do this. Understand, maybe they release this. And maybe for Google, they're like, you know what? Who isn't going to come over here anyways, just from the fact that we have sub 200 millisecond for most queries and we're at 92% of GPT 5.5. That right there might be enough to get developers and droves to switch over to Gemini 3.2 Flash if those are accurate numbers, right? So if that's accurate, they could say, hey, we'll just rely on that. And then forget about cost. We'll just pocket the margin, right? They could do that. But there still could be people out there that kind of say, I mean, it's better, it's faster, yeah, but I know I have all my tools over here and it's not really that much cheaper, right? Because Google is cheaper than the AI labs in America. I don't know. I'll have to check. I think in general they are. They charge a little bit better pricing, but they're not trying to keep up with China. They don't have any need to, right? Again, China, for whatever reason, isn't affecting our prices yet. And so if they did come in though and say, hey, I'm going to make this, 10 times cheaper. So now you're paying prices like you would for DeepSeek at this quality. That could convince everybody. So understand that there are some people in America, like Airbnb went over to, I believe, DeepSeek. But there's a lot of China hawks in America that will not use a Chinese AI. For whatever reason, they just simply won't use it, no matter how cheap it is. Okay? And I think there's a lot of people like that, because if there wasn't, I really can't understand why things like Xiaomi's Mimo and DeepSeek aren't having more of a price effect on the AI market. Like, I actually am a little puzzled at this because they are significantly cheaper. And yes, I know it's not apples to apple. And yeah, I know that like Claude has some very specific tooling. They have went really hard after tooling. I totally get it. But I'm just a little surprised they haven't grabbed more or at least forced a little bit of a response on pricing. Right now, essentially, Claude has ignored everyone's pricing structure. They're going the route that they see fit, and they're succeeding at it. But if Google was to do this, they could force Claude into a tough spot. Okay? Because there's something about being a little bit cheaper, but if you're coming in and you're better and you're way cheaper, it's kind of like, who isn't going to do it? So this could be the nuclear option, right? But again, I don't know that they would do this. So now I'm starting to run on a little bit. If you want, if you haven't already, feel free to leave, but I'm going to start rambling a little bit here. But remember that they have big contracts with Claude. So, and there's no reason that, sorry, I felt something in my ear. There's no reason that they necessarily have to capitalize on, extracting every dollar and killing their own clients, essentially. Claude is a paying client. Claude is got 200 billion in TPUs booked from Google over the next 4 to 5 years, right? And so, I mean, they might not be out to destroy him. They might just say, hey, you know what? We'll just pocket this money. Why not? now I'm thinking about it. That's probably what they're going to do. Because they really don't pass the savings on to us right now. Like if we look at the LLM leaderboard, so if we come over here, right? Now Gemini is a little bit older. So Google hasn't been releasing as many updates as everybody else. But you can see that Gemini already is cheaper. But it's not like they've went super hard after it. We come down here to where's DeepSeek? Did I pass DeepSeek already? Where's DeepSeek? Where's DeepSeek? Where's DeepSeek? DeepSeek version 4 Pro. This is thinking. This is a more expensive one. DeepSeek version 4 right here. So we come down to DeepSeek. Look at this. 43 cents, 87 cents. This is input. This is output. Right? That is 10 times cheaper on input and 83 cents. What would that be? 25 times cheaper on output. And Claude has not felt the need. And you might say, well, look, Claude is so much better. Yeah, I mean, it's scoring a lot higher, but this doesn't mean everything. You know, it's a little bit of apples to oranges too. They're different types of models, right? But Google right here is about half the price. So now if they come in, you know, and they're saying, here's 5.5. And understand these are just rankings. These aren't exact, you know, they're just running various tasks and stuff. I think a lot of these tests that they run are just kind of BS now. But anyways, look at GPT 5.5. They come in right here and imagine that they start offering this for 50 cents, right? So imagine that they go Claude prices down here. Or sorry, DeepSeek prices right here, right? But they have it right up here, way up here. I mean, and they have that response time because none of these guys have a 200 millisecond response time. None of them. I've used almost all of these. Not every single one, but I mean, I've used a Claude, I've used a Gemini, I've used a GPT, I've used a DeepSeek. I can't say I've used every single specific model. I actually haven't used Ernie yet. I probably should hop on Ernie. Oh, it looks like they don't have an API or they don't have the cost for the API. But yeah, so that's what we're looking at. I'm actually a little surprised at 5.5. Why would 5.5 be down here? This seems a little low, actually. Yeah, Gemini, when it launched, was way ahead of everybody. You know, here's what I don't like about these rankings, because when Gemini 3 launched, it was like, oh, wow, this is amazing. It really was. And when Claude Opus launches, oh, wow, this is amazing. Yeah, it is. But you know what they do? I know for a fact, I don't know for a fact, sorry, I shouldn't say it. But I really feel so strongly that what they're doing is they get it out, they get the first impression, and then they run it for a week and they're like, okay, we're going to dial it back for Ruben, 0.5%, save a little bit of CPU time for each of his queries. Next week, okay, we're going to dial it back, 1.5%, take another 1% off of there. Save a little bit more money in his queries. He won't even notice the difference. And then by like 6 weeks later, it's a noticeable difference. Like that's how I feel every time. Like I feel like the models get dumber. And the reason they are is because they're cutting back on margin. You know they are. I mean, what business would not do that? Was just say, oh, can we just tweak margins a little bit to save a little bit of cost? Nobody will notice if we take 1% of the processing off of this. Nobody will notice, right? You know they're doing it. Absolutely, 100%, guaranteed it's happening. I can say that, can't I? I can say that. That's my opinion. Yeah, so that's what I'm looking at here, right? I mean, what if they went totally nuclear and they went at like, even below DeepSeek prices? I don't think they'd ever do that, right? But, they could. But I don't think they ever would, right? Because they want their margin, And again, I mean, they have deals with OpenAI. They have deals with Anthropic. So it's not like they're out there to destroy these companies, And even like I told you, when Kimi or when DeepSeek releases a model, that's good for Google, because Google's like, okay, yep, come use these models on our cloud. So they're not out really to destroy people. But yeah, I mean, they could technically go nuclear if this was true. We'll have to see if it is. I mean, I have been looking forward to this, and I like the fact now that we're talking about practicality. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. This is actually practicality. Okay. I have, I got the $200 subscription to Google. Actually, I think it's like $250. It's expensive, but I got it for 50% off. So I'm paying $125 for 3 months, and I'm not going to renew it. It's not worth that much. If they had it for $100, I'd pay, but I'm not going to pay $250. But I got it specifically to try out, some of the advanced options on it. It's like a 3-month trial, but they had a deep thinking on it. Deep think, I think it's called. Cool is deep think, yeah. So they have deep research and deep think. Okay. So this deep think, yeah, it's freaking amazing. If you have the right problems for it. So like in my portfolio, I just basically gave it my portfolio. Because one thing I always have a problem doing is hedging. I never really know what to hedge, how much I should hedge, et cetera, et cetera. And, I'm not giving you market advice, but I've always felt like I need to get better at hedging because especially with like Trump in office and all the crazy stuff he does. And so I asked it to give me this hedge, and it went through and it built out these scenarios in such great detail. I mean, it analyzed stuff to a T, went out, got all the latest market data, examined every single position I had in this one account. And I did the hedge. And when with this crap going on, the hedge paid off. I was like, okay. Actually, I mean, paid off what I paid for this. But the simple problem is that I barely use it anymore because I don't even know what to ask it. Okay. Because I mean, that's what it comes down to. Like, I don't really know what I would have it do. Like, it's not any better. Like, you have to have tasks for it at hand that are kind of made for that kind of thing, like this deep analysis. You know what I mean? And it's not like I have a ton of those problems. I guess I could come up with different market stuff, but it's not like I'm not an active trader. And to be honest, I enjoy doing a lot of the market stuff myself. I only asked it to do that because hedging is just something I'm not good at. And I think it's because it's downside protection where I'm always like a bit of a gambler, So I'm always like, hey, I want to make money. I don't want to have to think about losing money. Oh, that's terrible. But you actually make money losing money, So yeah, I didn't sell any of my positions. I actually just, bought something as a hedge. And if things went down, this would go up and make a little bit of money. And then the idea was I take that and I buy the dip a little bit. And yeah, it worked out. But since then, I haven't used it more than like 4 times. I mean, like, I don't know. I just don't know what to use it on. I'm just like, I don't really know what to use it on. So, and again, just having it there, I kind of like having it there, but not for $250. That's a lot. Now, of course, you get some other things. I got access to this really interesting thing. A wizard, a nomad, a adventurer. I'm just trying to come up with some. A wanderer. Okay, let's go. You guys ready? I have no idea what it's gonna do, but anyways, it's gonna make a 3D world off of this. So this is part of the 250 subscription. I can't even tell you. I can't even imagine how much this is burning. I mean, how many TPUs? Like, probably like, using more energy than what my house is using. Okay, so how do I play it? Oh, I'm in front of the queue. There's a queue. Yeah, I don't know if I mean. Okay, use arrows to look around. Creating the world takes about a minute. Okay, use space. Oh, okay, sorry, I've only used this like twice. So yeah, again, you get to play this for only 60 seconds. So it just created an entire 3D world. Now, if you don't know anything about 3D development, you can't. Wow, this is actually pretty insane. I should have remembered this prompt. I really like this world. Oh man, I should have saved that prompt. How do I go forward? Go, wizard. No, no, no. Quit. No, I don't. How do I get you to move forward? Do I just... Oh, I hit space and he walks. Oh, no, it's almost over. Run, run. Oh, look at that sun. It's like a gearbox with the lines coming out of it. Oh, that's nice. Oh, no, it's almost done. Can I save this? Save. Prompt guide. Enable history. Okay, I got history. Ooh, yeah, I like this. Oh, let me go over my 60 seconds. Yeah, you can't even imagine how much energy this would burn to make. Okay, chat with you guys later. Take care.